The movie opens to a young woman called Sydney driving during the night talking to her friend Charmaine supposedly about her boyfriend. She's had enough of his games and is thinking of taking the semester off and just head back home for a bit. She gets caught taking a gulp of an alcoholic drink by the town sheriff and sirens for her to pull over. Sheriff Cleveland walks to her car tapping on her window and informs her she seems to be driving all over the place. When she asks what she did wrong, she apologizes, telling him that she only has 100 more miles to her mom's house in Ascension and if he can just turn a blind eye. He calmly asks her to step out of the car after spotting the drink, then gets mad when she doesn't listen, so he drags her out instead, ordering her to turn around and spread her legs. He takes a good look, then orders her to face him. While he strokes her hair, he informs her he can't let her back on the road and has to confiscate her keys. He gives her two options. Either he will give her a ride to a motel which he will pay for, or spend the night in a dirty stinking holding cell. Once she's sobered up, he will give her keys back. She opts for the motel and they head towards his car. Next we see Carter walk into Freddie's office to talk business. Freddie tells him he's got some new high roller clients. He snugged a truckload of Mexicans when they were trying to make it across the border in a U-Haul. They are being kept in a safe house down in Waco and is offering $500 apiece to take care of them. Carter then loses his temper when he learns there are two young kids involved and will pay $250 back to set the kids free, but wants everyone else there in less than 12 hours. We next see couple Don and Nancy driving at night on a lonely road for a weekend getaway. He gets annoyed because they are supposed to be on vacation, but Nancy is still working as she has a deadline. They start to quarrel when suddenly a bright light appears from behind. The driver starts honking before passing. They start bickering again, telling each other to F off, when suddenly the same car appears from the opposite direction, smashing into them, not once but twice before driving off, leaving them stranded in the middle of nowhere. Don gets out in shock at what just happened and quickly gets onto the blower for help. Nancy gets impatient as they've been waiting an hour now for help and is worried of what could jump out of the woods when Dan cracks a joke that he knows how to wrestle an alligator with his bare hands after watching it on the Discovery Channel. The inhospitable sheriff finally turns up and immediately notices the attractive Nancy. Don tells him they were on their way to a casino in Marksville when they got hit. Sheriff Cleveland breaks it to them that they were traveling about 100 miles in the wrong direction, but Don doesn't believe him. When they ask about the tow truck, he has more bad news, that they won't be able to get their car towed until the morning, and offers to drive them to the nearby motel for the night. That's 2 in 1 night. Maybe he makes commission driving people to the motel in the middle of the night. Anyway, they have 2 minutes to decide before he leaves to catch up on his beauty sleep. They take him up on his offer and grab their belongings. Nancy has a look of disappointment when they turn up at the Motel Royal Vista, as it's no 5-star hotel and she would rather sleep in the car than that dump. Sheriff Cleveland reassures her it's a fine establishment as he had his wedding reception there. He gives Nancy a sneering look when she tells him to F off after he asks for a little payment for his courtesy, and tells them to get the hell out of his car. Don knocks on the office door but no answer. He notices it's unlocked and proceeds to enter, calling for someone. Again no answer, and are horrified as they look around the dingy place, unaware they are being watched on CCTV. Eventually the owner, called Jonas, comes out apologizing as he wasn't expecting anyone as it's the slow season. Don tells him they had an accident and the creepy sheriff brought them over for the night. He seems surprised by that comment and tells them his life story, that he used to sing in the choir with the sheriff in their younger days, but the latter couldn't carry a tune to save his life. Don's had enough of the chit-chat and just wants to get some rest. Nancy sarcastically opts for the King Suite. She is shocked when Jonas rips them off by charging $130 for the night. They have no choice and Dan hands over his American Express card for payment. Strangely, Jonas makes an excuse that the credit card machine is in the back and will be right back after giving it a swipe. He goes into the back room for several seconds watching them on camera before coming back out, making an excuse that there was a problem with the card. Don finds that weird and wants to call the credit card company. To avoid Don from using the phone, Jonas tells them their room will be complimentary for the night for the inconvenience and will even turn on movies of the adult nature to help them settle in. As Don asks for the key, Jonas oddly tells them there's no need to worry. It's a friendly motel and none of the rooms are locked up, as he directs them to their room. They enter the room. Nancy isn't too pleased with the dark and unattractive look and immediately cleans her hands with antibacterial gel as to not catch anything. She notices something on the wall. She walks closer and is horrified to find blood. Don takes a look to find it's still wet but thinks nothing of it, as he's more concerned about the adult movies Jonas promised, but the TV doesn't work. Jonas is in his office with the corrupt sheriff. They have something planned as Cleveland tells Jonas to hurry up and send the list as they have a lot to do and not much time. In the room, Don walks into the luxurious bathroom area picking up a strand of hair from the bar of soap, much to the disgust of Nancy. He can't help but admire the mirror, unaware it's one-sided and are being watched and heard. Next, a guy gets woken up by the beeping on his phone with a message reading "Red room now open." He heads off while his wife is still asleep. A trucker guy also gets a message and quickly heads out. Meanwhile, Don and Nancy stay awake reminiscing about their summertime at Bible school and what they got up to when everyone else was asleep. They now feel things aren't how they used to be, and the reason for their little getaway is to reconnect again. Suddenly they hear banging next door. Thinking someone just checked in, then hear a girl screaming. Don goes in closer. The banging and screaming continues. He thinks she's screaming in ecstasy. Nancy tells him to go next door and ask them to tone it down a bit. So Don goes next door and politely asks the guy if they could keep the noise down, then offers the guy $1,000 if he can drive him and Nancy to town. But the guy kindly declines before slowly closing the door with his bloodied hand. The trucker from the diner has arrived at the motel. He doesn't seem to be a stranger as he asks Jonas to confirm if it's the same place as before. He confirms it is. As he pays the fee, the married guy also turns up with a wad of cash. He's also well acquainted with Jonas and happily hands over the money. The next scene, Freddie opens the van door to show his customer a fresh shipment of girls from Ukraine. They are half drugged and tied up. Freddie tells him the girls are $1,000 apiece, but they already agreed on a price of $250. He doesn't want any trouble and happily accepts the cash. Back in the motel room, Don and Nancy are having a chat when there's more screaming and banging from next door. He goes to have another word. He knocks on the door but no one answers. The lights are off, so he tries the office. No one answers there either. He sees light from one of the other rooms. As he approaches, he takes a look through the window and is horrified to see Sydney tied to the chair with cuts all over her body. Don rushes back to his room unaware he's been caught by a guy in a mask. Don quickly locks the door and pulls the cabinet to block it. Nancy is terrified and repeatedly asks what's going on. He tells her he just witnessed a murder and grabs the table lamp ready to attack as some guys start banging on their door, unaware they have an audience watching their every move and can hear everything they say. It goes silent. He peeps through the curtains to see the guys walking away and notices a car. He says he can hotwire it to make their escape. As they dash towards the car, several guys with masks appear with weapons and try to attack them, forcing them to run into another room. A guy tries to break the door with an axe but gives up and they leave. The phone unexpectedly rings. Don picks up to Cleveland on the other end. Don is furious as to why they are being targeted and offers him money to leave them alone, but he has other plans and makes Don a bet, which is if he and Nancy make it to the car, they can drive out of there. And if they don't make it, they stay, even telling Don the keys are under the visor. Cleveland gets mad and starts yelling he's a man of his word when Don questions if the car runs. He has 30 minutes to decide or the bet is off. Don and Nancy cautiously make their way to the car, stopping to check if the coast is clear. As they get closer to the car, it blows up and the masked men appear again, attacking them, and again forcing them to scurry into another room. The phone rings again. Don picks up to Cleveland laughing on the other end, telling Don he changed his mind about them leaving. Don orders him to let his wife go. Cleveland disagrees, saying only he decides if they live or die. Don's had enough of listening to the despicable Cleveland and hangs up before he could finish his sentence. All the while the audience are glued to the TV, who find it all amusing and can't wait to see what happens next. Don has an idea to call the police, telling them someone is trying to kill them, and gives the location, only to have their hopes getting out alive shattered as the call goes to none other than Cleveland, and now thinks Don needs a good spanking for being a tattletale. He tells Don to look out the window to see a tow truck dropping his car off, in case the troopers or detective come snooping around. Don offers Cleveland $250,000 and can wire it straight into his account if he just lets them go. No questions asked, but Cleveland's not interested in the money and rejects his offer. In the office, Jonas is counting up the money and gives Cleveland his share. It's not enough. Cleveland is not amused when Jonas starts giving him lip, because he's the sheriff. He thinks he can do whatever he wants and gives Jonas two options: either pay the rest of the money or have his brains splattered all over the wall. He opts for the first option and pays up. We are back with Don and Nancy, who think they are saved when they see a fire truck out of the window as their car's on fire. They run to the firefighter, telling him people are being murdered and needs to call the police right away. Don needs a weapon. He's told there's one in the back of the truck. As he goes to look for it, the sneaky firefighter creeps up from behind and tries to choke him with his hosepipe. Nancy quickly grabs a crowbar and bashes it over the firefighter's head, knocking him out. Don has an idea to take the truck but finds it's crawling with the masked men, who try to attack them again, making them run into another room as they try to fight them off. Don tells Nancy to go out of the window to the car and grab his gun, and start firing if she sees any of the bad guys. He's now armed with a knife and in killing mode. He opens the door, grabs the guy and stabs him multiple times. A disgruntled Cleveland tells his boss Carter they need to go in and kill Don as things aren't going to plan. Plus Don just killed Cleveland's cousin Cody. But Carter wants to ride it out and pulls his pistol on the sheriff when he starts to backchat. Nancy makes it to the car. As she rummages through her bag, Cleveland appears and gives her one in the face as the excited viewers watch on. Don now runs to his car and hides when he sees a guy come out of a room. He quietly sneaks up behind him, putting the knife to his throat. They have a little scuffle before falling down into a room where Don kills him. Jonas is also there and now probably soiled his pants after what he just saw. He slowly gets up, terrified for his life, as Don slowly walks towards him, demanding to know where his wife is. Jonas wants to make a deal to help the couple get out alive, but needs Don to do two things first. 1. Let Jonas walk free, and 2. Kill Cleveland by shooting him right between his effing eyes. Don's intrigued and hears Jonas out. He tells Don there's a fully loaded pistol taped under the table behind him. Don slowly grabs it. To test it out, he shoots Jonas straight in the head. Meanwhile, a whimpering Nancy is tied up and held hostage by Cleveland. He tells her they are to walk out to his car, and if she tries to escape, he will shoot her down like a dog. Don is fighting one of the other guys, who gets thrown through the mirror. Don notices the viewers and opens fire, killing the married guy as the others run, then sees his tied-up wife and Cleveland on the TV. As Nancy and Cleveland walk to his car, Don comes out and a gunfight begins. He runs out of bullets and dives for cover as Cleveland tries to run him over. He gets out and beats Don down to the ground. But Don's not done yet as he kicks Cleveland in the leg, then strikes his head with the crowbar, before rescuing his wife. The drama's not finished yet as Carter vacates the room. Cleveland is barely alive and asks for his help. Carter feels let down because Cleveland had one job and failed, so instead of helping him, Carter just shoots him dead. The next scene, it's Sydney's funeral. Her mother is in tears as she's about to bury her daughter as the preacher gives a speech. When the funeral ends and everyone starts to leave, a guy comes up to the mother passing on his condolences and tells her if she doesn't want the long drive home, he knows a nice place for her to stay. He looks like the same guy who killed Freddie. The movie ends with Carter talking to one of his crew members. He thinks the guy's been running his mouth about the organization and threatens to kill him, then has a change of heart and lets him live. But as Carter walks away, he blows up the car, killing him anyway. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more cool videos.